Welcome to Add to Cart, Australia's leading e-commerce podcast that express delivers all you need to know in the fast-moving world of online retail. Every week, Nathan Bush from eSuite and an e-commerce industry expert will share the news, research and insights that you need to know to keep you at the top of your game. And of course, keep your customers adding to cart.
Hello, and welcome to a very special midweek episode of Add to Cart. What a treat. My name is Nathan Bush, and today I want to give you guys a sneak peek on some of the content from our upcoming e-commerce Accelerator, which commences on the 21st of March. Today, you're going to hear the answers to a question that I posed to 10 leaders in e-commerce who I have huge admiration and respect for, and they range from leaders to retailers to agency folk to consultants to journalists to tech people. Some of them have even been on Add to Cart before. You'll recognize their voices. I wanted them to answer one simple question for our Accelerator students. What excites you most about e-commerce in the next 5 years? Quite the question, hey, considering the last couple of years. Now, as a bit of context, we've created the eCommerce Accelerator course at eSuite to teach the foundations of e-commerce across strategy, marketing, technology, analytics, finance, supply chain, and more. It's a 10-week program done 100% remote and designed to fit around work, life, and just general chaos. Our aim is to help upskill those who are at the start of their e-commerce journey, or upskill those in retail who want to know more about e-commerce. And we want to help retail businesses build internal pipelines of e-commerce talent. It's not good enough to go to market every time you need to bring e-commerce talent in. We want to develop those pipelines internally. So what you're going to hear today is one of 7 Industry Voices videos, which our students will have access to throughout the course. As well as these videos, there will be 10 two-hour live lessons, over 20 cheat sheets and templates, a load of curated e-commerce resources, and a community to connect with your peers. And I think that's the most exciting part because you never know where those connections will lead. We're also lucky enough to partner with Shopify for some hands-on experience with the platform, and you'll leave with your entry-level Google Analytics certification. So it's been a fun journey putting all this learning material together. And to be honest, I forgot how much there was to cover when you're at the start of your e-commerce journey. So let's get into it. Here is the first of our Industry Voices video. In order of appearance, you're going to hear the following e-commerce leaders answer the question of what excites you most about e-commerce in the next 5 years. We have Angus McDonald, CEO of Barbecues Galore, Emily Hayden, my business partner in crime at eSuite, Anthony Napper, CEO and co-founder of Oz Hair and Beauty, Ben Anderson, head of e-commerce at Accent Group, Matt Newell, partner and CEO at The General Store, Kate Collinson, e-commerce consultant and growth marketer, Jason Andrew, co-founder and director at SBO, Natalie Hintzer, head of e-commerce and marketing at Mr. Poolman, Joanne Huey Miller, managing editor at Inside Retail, and lastly, Reese Ferner, head of partnerships at Shopify Asia Pacific. Now, obviously, you have heard from some of these people before. We've heard from Anthony, we've heard from Matt, Kate, Jason, Nat, and Reese. Here's their answer to the question.
What excites me most about e-commerce for the next 5 years is just how quickly the market is changing and the way that new technologies are just transforming the way that customers can engage with their brands of choice. And I think there's going to be a polarization of retail where those that are really experimental and really embrace those opportunities will do increasingly well and build really strong, robust tribal brands, as opposed to those that may fall behind. But it's a pretty exciting time all up and actually creates lots of opportunity as customers think differently about the way they want to shop.
The thing that excites me the most about e-commerce over the next 5 years is that we are seeing this rapid acceleration of so many technologies that we have been talking about implementing and umming about over so many years, and now the time is now. This trajectory is coming.
The thing that excites me the most about e-commerce over the next 5 years is there is so much juice left to squeeze, where other industries, I wouldn't say they're tapped out, but there's just not as much juice in there. And with e-commerce, reading a lot of retail reports. A lot of Australians still aren't using e-commerce. COVID's obviously accelerated that, but even so, a lot more opportunity, and now's the time to really get into it.
I think there's really a changing of the guard in terms of where retail has been and traditional businesses into kind of now a data-led and a customer-led experience. We have so many touch points across our sites. We have so much enriched data that you don't necessarily get it in a retail environment. We can start to make much, much better decisions around what's best for the customer, how do we market to a customer, how do we actually give the customer a much, much better and richer experience. I also think that what's really exciting is the evolution of digital e-com. That whole space is really growing with what we've kind of seen as the growth of Gen Z, really, because you look at their disposable income, they're now native with technology and mobile phones. So they're basically going straight to your mobile phone, looking at it and going, right, where do I want to start my shopping journey, if I want to investigate products, if they want to look for services, whatever it might be. So with that, you can actually see now the disposable incomes increase, which means that online shopping is only ever going to continue to increase.
So what excites me about e-commerce for the next 5 years is just how integrated it's going to be. I think historically we've thought about it as these two separate things, the sort of online retail and physical retail, but going forward, I think that'll just be a complete blur. We'll stop referring to it as a separate thing. It'll be the thing. And really, I think consumers are so far ahead of retailers on this. I think the tragedy here is that retailers still separated out, but going forward, that will end and it'll all be unified and integrated and a smoother process for our customers. So I think that's exciting. There's one other thing that I think is exciting, which is this move, the early signs towards a metaverse. So I think in the next 5 years, imagining what virtual reality could look like for commerce could be really, really interesting, that we could, shopping for sneakers could involve flying through forests and finding them behind waterfalls and meeting celebrities and going to dance parties and all these sorts of things. There's a whole other dimension literally that could be opened up. And I think in the next 5 years, we'll make some pretty big strides towards that.
The technology itself is just developing so quickly that I can't even tell you what the industry might even look like in another 5 years' time, which personally for me, on one hand, it's hard to plan or plan out your career for the next 5 years. But on the other hand, it's I couldn't even tell you what kinds of jobs might be out there in the future in e-commerce. And I find that really exciting.
I think most of all that's really exciting for me is there is this new platform with talent. So traditionally, I didn't have an e-commerce background. I came from finance and I moved into e-commerce. But now there are people and there's courses and there's ways to learn. So the talent that we're bringing into this field is much smarter than me. They're much more adept. They know technology much better than me. So I feel like the acceleration that we're going to get in this space is much, much faster than we've had in the last 2 years, which for me is super exciting.
What I love about e-commerce currently is just there's so many different niches, how we want to call it, of different folks just selling random things on the internet. And I love it. We come across a new brand every other day. And it's so odd that, to give you a great story, like we have a client that sells breast pumps online. And, asked me 18 months ago, I would have thought breast pumps is such a weird and niche thing to sell. But just 2 weeks ago, I bought a breast pump for my wife from that same company, and I realized that there is an enormous market for that. So I think all these weird, wonderful brands selling these niche bits of product on the internet is just going to continue as demand increases for that.
So with this pandemic, it's really changing the way consumers shop, taking away bricks and mortar even more, moving it to online. And this forces our hand at moving faster and harder to live up to those customer experience expectations. What I really like about, addressing marketing in this space is referring to customer satisfaction as a KPI. And I feel like that's something that we've never put an onus on before, performance metrics, but actually looking at that customer satisfaction as they move through the journey, and therefore placing more of an onus on marketers than ever before. It's not so much just publishing a message anymore. It's actually being in control of that end-to-end experience with the consumer, that entire customer experience. I think that's where I'm most excited to see this space just really accelerate, and it'll show who's got their fingers on the pulse, because they're going to have to quickly adapt to what consumers want.
If you look back at COVID, obviously, that really pushed retailers to be very innovative and very creative. And that's, it doesn't matter whether they were a traditional physical retailer that was just very slow on the uptake in terms of online retail, or if they were already on the ball and they were pure play retailers. Obviously businesses found a lot of new ways to connect with customers through things like live stream, virtual events, social. If you think about it, it's only been 18 months since COVID hit. And those are the sort of things that are now almost part of the normal e-commerce landscape now. If you're a fashion retailer and you don't have live stream or a virtual event or live chat, like, what are you doing? That is part of the new normal now. And I think that is so exciting. At Inside Retail, we obviously have retailer awards each year. And for the last retailer awards that we had, the standard in e-commerce was just so high. I want to know what's the next normal, like what is going to be the epitome of exceptional e-commerce in the future. So I think that's super exciting. Do you know what I mean? I think that's just amazing to see what will happen.
We're really seeing a lot of traditional businesses invest heavily in the digital side, but also we're going to start seeing the digitally native businesses invest in the traditional side. So it's seeing these two different businesses attack the same problem, but from different angles. And I think that's going to be super exciting to watch unfold over the next 5 years. And the end goal is just to give the customer the best way to buy what they want to buy, wherever, whenever.
I love that we've got such a diverse group of e-commerce experts here. Each have their own unique perspective on where the world of e-commerce is heading. And I love kicking off the Accelerator with this video because it shows all the different directions and opportunities there are in an e-commerce career. I mean, just because you are in e-commerce doesn't mean you have to be an e-commerce manager or start your own e-com business. There are so many pathways and opportunities in e-commerce, and I think, the answers you got there show all the different directions you can take. Now, if you're interested in joining us on March 21, head on over to eSuitetalent.com.au to register. The course is $1,950 per student, but Add to Cart listeners can get $200 off by using the code ADDTOCART, all one word. So that's eSuitetalent.com.au/accelerator and use the code ADDTOCART for $200 off. We start on March 21. Just over a week away. It's coming around very soon and we're super excited for it. Now, if you think the Accelerator isn't for you, you're a bit more advanced than that, and you maybe are because you're listening to Add to Cart regularly, but you think it could be great for your team and you want to develop an internal pipeline of e-commerce talent, drop me a note. We can supply a custom quote for a team cohort, and we have a few cohorts from some of the best retailers in the business already going through. But if you have a team of 5 or more students, we'll create a custom quote for you. Email us at accelerator@esuitetalent.com.au and we'll get back to you with your special pricing straight away. All right. That's it for me for our special Wednesday episode. We'll see you again on Friday for the checkout episode, and we have the fabulous Sam Penny from Artisans Bend. You might remember him as the lunatic who swam the coldest English channel. No doubt he's got some fantastic answers for us. Stay tuned, and then we'll be back to regular scheduling.